On this episode of Cape Media News, the community honors the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. in Hyannis. Tara Wallace rallies residents in support of Puerto Rico, and Cape Cod's only burlesque troupe wows audiences at Burlesque Fest 2020 in Vermont. These stories and more, this is Cape Media News. This is Cape Media News, your local authentic newscast for Cape Cod. I'm Gabrielle Rawson. Thank you for joining us. In a move to protect the future of public access TV, Massachusetts State Senator Ed Markey and California U.S. Rep. Anna Eshoo have introduced the Protecting Community Television Act, a bill that seeks to amend the Communications Act of 1934. Since the 80s, cable franchise fees paid by cable providers to towns and cities have helped ensure that the public has access to television that serves the needs and interests of their communities. If you are interested in learning more about the importance of community television or want to learn about House Bill 5659, visit www.markey.senate.gov. In Chatham this week, town officials are urging members of the commercial and recreational boating communities to submit written comments opposing the U.S. Coast Guard's proposal to de-establish the Chatham Beach lighted whistle buoy, a buoy the town says is vital to local navigation. The Coast Guard is seeking written comments on the proposed removal, specifically asking boaters to include the size and type of their recreational or commercial vessel, at what distance they start to look for the Chatham Beach lighted whistle buoy, and if and how they use the signal. Written comments referring to project number 01-18-041 can be sent directly to Lieutenant Arthur Frooks at arthur.e.frooks@uscg.mil or do1-smb-dpw public comments at uscg.mil. Last Monday, January 20th, the country celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday that recognizes Dr. King's contribution to the civil rights movement. Dr. King was well known for his famous I Have a Dream speech and was the chief spokesperson for nonviolent activism. On Cape Cod, locals came out in full force to honor Reverend Dr. King. Tamora Israel reports.
May the work I've done speak for me. When I'm resting in my grave, I want to hear my Savior say, may the work I've done speak for me.
It's been 52 years since Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination in Memphis, Tennessee, but his influence and teachings of love continue to stand strong.
When he died, or when he was murdered, he was in Memphis advocating for people that society tends to cast aside, people that collect our trash. We don't think about them in terms of people that we think are important, and yet, by this time, King was well known around the world, and he found time to say, these are God's children. They ought not to be treated like the trash they pick up. So advocating for little people, the people that society tends to cast aside because they didn't go to an Ivy League school, they're not running a big company. We just think they have nothing to offer. We don't know that. In God's eyes, they're special.
I've been born into Martin Luther King's dream. It's been a lifelong walk for me to live the dream of Martin Luther King Jr. His approach towards, I would say, conflict or towards suppression. He seeks the possibility that anyone is able to do it is through education and through the power of speech.
The Federated Church of Hyannis, in collaboration with several nonprofits and local schools, hosted a service of commemoration and celebration to honor his legacy. The theme of this year's celebration focused on Dr. King's quote, "The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and the cruelty of the bad people, but the silence over that by good people."
What I find powerful about Dr. King is that his message is still so present and strong. You know, Dr. King, another quote of his, that he often referred to folks as beloved community. And I think we have to act in that vein, to be beloved community to one another and make this a better community.
Cape Cod Community College student Sam Beresford gave a moving student reflection about inclusivity.
I'm non-binary, so being able to speak in a church is something that I never envisioned myself capable of doing, let alone actually doing. I think that that's really a moniker of how far we have come, even though we have a ways left to go. I think the fact that I can be in a house of God as what I am, a place that regardless, 50, 60 years ago, I probably wouldn't even be alive to talk to you right now.
The celebration began with a silent march from the Hyannis Green to the Federated Church of Hyannis. It was followed by a brief sermon from Reverend Philomena Hare and speeches delivered by students of the Cape Cod Y Achievers Program and Cape Cod Community College on the topic of acceptance and unity. The service concluded with the hymn, "We Shall Overcome." There are many ways Cape Cod residents can honor Dr. King's message.
The very important yet simple thing that we all can do is to unite. Regardless of our color or origin, we all have the same needs: respect, love, and unity.
The service and commemoration was held on January 19th. In Hyannis, for Cape Media News, I'm Tamora Israel.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day is celebrated on the third Monday of every January in honor of the late Dr. King's birthday, which falls on January 15th. Up next, local resident Tara Wallace rallies Cape Codders to support Puerto Rico. Nobody wants to litter. Sometimes it just happens. But it's easy to stop trash from turning into litter. Together, if we're all just a little more careful, we can achieve a litter-free Cape Cod. For more information, visit nocapelitter.org. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Gabrielle Rawson. Since December 2019, the island of Puerto Rico has been hit with more than 500 earthquakes. This after a devastating hurricane that killed nearly 3,000 people in 2017. To raise awareness and funding that would address Puerto Rico's ongoing humanitarian crisis, local resident Tara Wallace has founded a group called the Cape Cod Committee for Puerto Rico. Emily Tulloch joined them at their first meeting in Hyannis to learn more.
In 2017, Puerto Rico was hit with one of the worst storms in the island's history, known as Hurricane Maria. The Category 4 storm brought 155-mile-per-hour winds, downed power lines, and devastated housing and crops. An estimated 2,975 people died as a result and left the remaining residents without clean water, food, and electricity for months. Starting on December 28, 2019, and continuing throughout January 2020, a sequence of over 500 earthquakes struck Puerto Rico, knocking out their largest power plant and causing destruction and panic among the residents, begging the question, how much disaster can one island take? In response to these events, a grassroots effort is in the works by one Barnstable resident, Tara Wallace, who formed the Cape Cod Committee for Puerto Rico. They held their first meeting to brainstorm ways Cape Codders can support relief efforts to the islanders in need.
Tonight is about gathering minds to brainstorm relief efforts for Puerto Rico. They haven't even recovered from Hurricane Maria, and now recently have been hit by over 100 earthquakes. And so the island has been devastated, especially the southern part of the island. And we're looking for help and trying to get some relief resources out there, trying to get some funds raised or some supplies for Puerto Rico.
Because Wallace's group is newly formed and not yet a registered nonprofit, they can't raise funds themselves. Alternatively, she's using her resources and networking in hopes to get bigger organizations involved in providing relief.
Cape Cod is such a resource-rich place, and I'm involved in a lot of different organizations that have various different causes, and I figure, why not use my networking skills to be able to get everyone together and try to raise some sort of either awareness or funds to see what people are willing to do for Puerto Rico relief.
Several locals were in attendance, ready to support an island they feel has been forgotten about in the midst of a crisis.
I hope to be to have more contact with people who are Puerto Rican on Cape Cod, put their heads, help work with them, putting all of our heads together to figure out who to approach in Puerto Rico that will get what's necessary for the people of the island.
To me, it's very important for community to support community, and that extends beyond my community here in Hyannis and on Cape Cod and in Massachusetts, to do real work of unity and inclusivity by reaching out and helping other fellow Americans in their times of need.
On a local basis, we can support the initiative of Tara and her daughter to do with the right thing. This may be the first meeting, but it won't be the last one, because we got other issues to deal with after some groundwork needs to be sorted out. So we really know what we're going to do here.
This meeting was the first in what Wallace hopes to be many more, and encourages anyone who is interested to get involved.
All are welcomed. You can get involved by contacting me via email. My email address is T as in Tom, V as in Victor, Wallace @live.com. Not sure when our next meeting will be. We'll plan on that. We're going to all talk amongst ourselves tonight to decide when the next meeting will be, but hopefully we can get that out to you and maybe publicize that. I know that I've been definitely putting it out there on social media, on Facebook. There is a group, Cape Cod Committee for Puerto Rico. If you'd like, you can join. I can invite you. Just contact me, Tara Wallace, on Facebook.
The Cape Cod Committee for Puerto Rico's meeting was held at the Zion Union Heritage Museum in Hyannis. For Cape Media News, I'm Emily Tellick.
If you'd like to learn more about the Cape Cod Committee for Puerto Rico or want to get involved, you can now find them on Facebook. Up next, the Brazen Belles bring Cape Cod Burlesque to Vermont.
We were selling our home after 30 years. Amazing how much stuff you can collect in your basement over time. So many things we wanted to keep, but even more we had to part with or throw away. As I was sorting through things, I came across an old glass jar of elemental mercury. I didn't even remember where or why I had it hanging around, but I knew I didn't want to throw it in the trash.
Elemental mercury, mercury-containing items, and other hazardous materials can accumulate when we don't know what to do with them or how to contain them safely. Elemental mercury is a silver liquid. It is many times stored in glass jars and old containers. Here are some simple do's and don'ts when it comes to elemental mercury. Never dump or dispose elemental mercury or items that contain mercury, like old thermometers, barometers, watch batteries, or CFL bulbs, into the trash. If you find elemental mercury in an old container, always call to have someone remove it for you. Do not try to transport elemental mercury to a hazmat collection facility yourself. Always ask if what you are throwing away might contain mercury or be hazardous. Go online or contact your city or town to find out what type of mercury collection program is available to get the right assistance with containment.
Our new living situation will change, but our love and concern for the environment will always be the same. It was easy to take a moment and do the right thing and make a difference.
For the last 2 years, Cape Media News has brought you coverage on the Brazen Belles Burlesque, Cape Cod's only burlesque troupe. Since 2011, the Brazen Belles have contributed to Cape Cod's creative economy with their famously funny and sexy antics. Last weekend, they brought their show on the road to headline New England's premier 3-day burlesque festival in Vermont. Cape Media News reports. Since 2011, the Brazen Belles Burlesque have thrilled Cape Cod audiences with their rowdy and provocative performances. But they don't just perform on Cape Cod. The Brazen Belles sometimes take their show on the road.
We're at the Vermont Burlesque Festival. We got here on Thursday, which today is Saturday, so 2 days ago. And we drove up, a bunch of us. There's 9 of us in the troupe right now, so we're all here having a great time.
This year, the Brazen Belles not only headlined the Vermont Burlesque Festival, they also taught their unique Cape Cod burlesque to dancers from all over the world.
So every year, whoever's headlining, Corey, the producer, asks whoever the headlining troupe is to have everyone be sort of a part of it. So it's kind of tradition for the Vermont Burlesque Festival. So basically, about a month ago, we started a private Facebook page where we showed the different sides and said to the people who were interested, okay, here's the choreography, learn it. And then when we come together for an hour, we're all gonna put it together, put, spacing into it, change a couple things up. And everyone was really great. Everyone came prepared and they knew what they were doing.
For the Brazen Belles, attending festivals is an important way to grow as artists.
Well, it's so much fun to come to these festivals and just see all the different talent, from all sorts of parts of the country and also other parts of the world.
It's been a really great experience to get to experience different kinds of burlesque. Everyone brings something to the table here. Like the Brazen Belles, we have our style, but we've gotten to see a lot of other great acts.
It's also a way to build community.
Absolutely my favorite part. Like, you make friends that they might live on the other side of the country, or they might live just in the next state or whatever, but you stay connected and you once a year get together, and it's fun, like sleepover summer camp almost for a weekend. It's super awesome that they're just like-minded humans that you share this experience with.
Even though people are coming from all over, everybody feels like they know each other and everybody's comfortable. And it's just a nice change of pace, because it's not the hustle and bustle of work. It's the hustle and bustle of show, which is different because we're all just kind of yeah, girl, you got it. It's just nice. It's refreshing.
Rejuvenated from their trip to Vermont, the Brazen Belles are now back on Cape Cod, gearing up for their annual Valentees.
Our next show is at our Valentees at Falmouth Theatre Guild, fresh off the Vermont Burlesque Festival as one of our headliners. And if you haven't seen us, come see us. And if you have seen us, then it's going to be a whole new show. You're going to love it, so come on down and enjoy it.
In Burlington, Vermont, for Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rawson. The Brazen Belles have now safely returned to their homes here on Cape Cod, where they are now gearing up for their famous annual Valentees at the Highfield Theatre in Falmouth. If you're interested in learning more about the Brazen Belles, find them online at brazenbelles.com. Well, that concludes this week's episode of Cape Media News. Please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and now Instagram. And thank you so much for watching. Please join us next week for an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the Cape Adult Sports League. For Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rawson.